Hi guys, and welcome to the tutorial for day 2 of the 5-day power pinning challenge. I just want to run through a few things with you to give you some more examples of what I think makes for great and maybe not so great content for you to use on Pinterest. Just to kind of really help you get a very clear idea of what's good and what's not so good, and how maybe you can package up your content, whether it be your business site or a blog, to make it really Pinterest friendly and Pinterest relevant. So what I've done is I've pulled up a few different posts from my blog, just talk you through very quickly some of the reasons why I think they're great for Pinterest, some of the reasons why I think maybe they're not so great. So this is the first one. It's a blog post called How to Make the Most of a Small Bathroom. Now, I know that small bathroom content from me does really well on Pinterest. It's been doing really well for several years, and I've got quite a few posts out there that kind of, all talk around this theme. So this one's relatively recent. How to make the most of your small bathroom. And I just run through tips. I've got 3 or 4 different tips. Some nice imagery that works really well, some text to give people some ideas, and then a pinnable image at the end. Now, okay, it's quite likely not the prettiest pinnable image, but I know that that doesn't really matter too much with this kind of content because it works really well for pinners. They want some ideas, they want some tips on this kind of thing. So I've tracked my stats. I know that this is really useful for pinners. They're searching for this kind of thing. If I can get this out there with the right kind of keywords and description, then I know it's going to generate some traffic for me over the next 6 months, the next year. So it's a bit of a long one, but I know that it will work. Okay. So then another one I've got that does quite well is anything around attic or loft conversions or home renovations. For me, that works. So in this post, I wrote, the 5 crucial steps. So it really makes people think, oh gosh, there are crucial things as opposed to just anything. So you're enticing somebody in straight away with the title. And I had that in mind right from the very beginning. I've called it an attic conversion because I know in the wider, more international audience, they refer to attics rather than lofts, which we might use in the UK. So I've been careful with my wording right from the very beginning. I've got lots of imagery here that I've used before and after. This is out on Pinterest anyway from other posts, and it works really well. And then some real life behind the scenes talk about, how you can do this kind of home renovation. The kinds of things you need to take into consideration. There's a video that I made that I know, is really popular. But one thing I've also done is I've made the pin and I've created a free checklist. So pinners can come on to here and they can get a checklist as well. Whoops. So I know that this gives them real value. If they want the checklist, they have to sign up to my email list. So I get them, I keep them, which is always really good when you're getting pinning traffic. Okay, think about ways that you can make that person stay with you, stick with you, the way you can, feed your content out to them, whether it be your products, services, or your blog posts. Feed that content out to them. Once you get them, how are you going to keep them coming back? So I do things like this, give away checklists, add value, give them extra bits and pieces that they might like, and entice them to stay with me and sign up to my email list. So that one, it hasn't been out very long. It's a bit of a slow burn, but it's getting there. Doing quite well. All right, so some ideas on things you won't want to share. If you're a blogger, I would say you absolutely don't want to share any competitions you run. If that's something you do, however much a brand asks you to do it, I wouldn't bother. Pinterest content is evergreen. Putting a competition or a giveaway out there which has a short shelf life, I just don't think it's going to work. And you might be UK bound, for example, with your competition, and you've got an international audience on Pinterest. I just don't think it looks great either. Pinterest isn't a great fan of giveaways and competitions, that whole pin to win thing. You shouldn't do it, you can't do it. So that's one thing to consider. Don't put it doesn't really add any value to the international pinning audience. And then another idea that I thought I'd show you is this post, for example, that I did. It's a kind of design focused post of a trip I did with a brand, beautiful imagery. And whilst I think some of these images, well, they're the wrong shape for Pinterest for one thing, a lot of them. But some of these images are quite cool. Now that as a collage would probably do quite well in terms of people looking for inspiration for flooring. They might pin it to a post. And there's a couple of other quite fancy images that people might quite like. This one, for example, the tiles in the background, that sort of thing. But what I do think with a post like this is that people are going to save the imagery from Pinterest onto a board because it inspires them. I'm not convinced they're actually going to click through and look at your blog post behind it. So think about that when you're pinning something. I mean, that's a great shot for floors, architecture, all those kinds of things, and people might put it onto a board to inspire them in a project, but would they click through and look at the content behind it based on the title of the blog post and a description I might add? It probably isn't going to fly as much as some of those others which really add value. So that's the thing to think about when you're doing this task, is think about what adds value to the pinner and exactly how you can package your content up to bring a solution to somebody that's making a search out there on Pinterest. So I hope that gives you some ideas about how you can fill in your sheet, the kinds of things you can look for, and the kinds of ways you can improve the content that you're putting out to be more Pinterest friendly. So good luck with Day 2 challenge and let me know how you get on.